Father Fahay was our prior in St. Catherine's in Newry when I was an altar boy. And he knew that I was thinking of becoming a Dominican. So he decided to take myself and my brother Tommy, afterwards Father Clement, to bring myself and Tommy on a visit to Tallaght. You would now call it a visit of discernment. But we went up, not suspecting anything. We had a cup of tea in the refectory, and when we came out into the cloister, before we left, we met a priest, in a habit of course, and he seemed to be old. His hair was quite white, snow white, and we spoke to him, and he was he spoke in a strange kind of a way, but he was very kind, and Father Fahay told him who we were. So after we went out, left to go for the bus, Father Fahay said to me, "How old do you think that priest was?" And I knew there was a trick there, so I wanted to be on the safe side. And I said, I suppose he would be about 63. And Father Fahay said, he said, 36. He said, he's 36. I was amazed, 36. And how was that? Well, he said he got the flu, First World War, the 1918 flu, very nearly died. His hair turned white. And Father Fahay was then the master of students at the time. So, an interesting story, Father Fahay was sent to Rome, did his degree in Rome, came home, and at that time, according to canon law, a confessor had to be 40 years of age to hear nuns' confessions. 40 years. So he went around to visit some Dominican sisters. He liked having tea in the Dominican convents, liked having a good tea. And he went to visit, I think it was Eccles Street, and one of the sisters asked him to hear her confession. And he got embarrassed. He said, well, of course, he said, I cannot hear your confession, he said, so, because I'm not yet the age. And she looked at him in surprise. Surely, she said, you're 40. And no, he said, I'm only in my early 30s. So everybody mistook his age. So then he became the regent of studies when we went to Tallaght. And there was one character there, a great character, he's dead now. I've forgotten his name. But he was a good man for making up songs or ballads or things for the Christmas Gaudiamus, we just call it. We'd have celebration at Christmas, and we're all expected to sing a song and or recite a poem. I wasn't able to sing, but we'll come to that afterwards. And this man made up a song about Giles. Giles, his name was Aegidius, and he insisted that the Aegidius be spelled A-E, diphthong. So we called him Diphthong Doolan. But so Aegidius was not present, naturally. So this guy gets up and he sings the song which he had composed. I remember part of it. A more Thomistic regent never did studium enhance. To nobody's second, I'm generally reckoned the regent par excellence. It is my very sublime endeavour to have here a studium of theology pure and philosophy sure in my beautiful studium. My object all sublime I will achieve in time. As master of theology, yes, I'll reach my goal sublime. I'll knock those examiners dumb when I tell them about the verbum in a chuckling vein of merriment, of innocent merriment. That's the part I remember. Well, Giles returned and he heard about the song, and he wanted Constantius Bergen, that was his name, to sing it to him. But Constantius was wise, and he didn't do so. Then in class, well, since I couldn't sing, I would prepare a poem, to recite a poem, and I used to practice the poem during the time for elocution. That's a half hour after dinner, and I forget the poem, but one on the heights of Killicranky, yestermorn our army lay, some Scottish poem, and the man in the next room to me, he said to me, before we went down for the Gaudiamus means let us rejoice, there was a kind of a celebration we had, a meal, and then these songs and things. He said, if you forget anything, he said, Lambert, I'll be able to prompt you, because I know it by heart now from listening to you next door. So I recited that. Then, what's this now? Yes, in class, Aegidius, or Giles we called him, he was very, very formal. He was a good professor, and he wasn't really fully appreciated. He wrote a book named Philosophy for the Layman. I was fortunate, I got 4 copies in Ireland and brought them here to the sisters, so the sisters used them for teaching. And the Archbishop of Dublin, who was a friend of his, he gave a copy to the Archbishop, and the Archbishop said that it's the best thing he read on the subject, and suggested that he should read some more books like that. But in class, he could be very formal, and he was reciting a poem by Plunket, Count Plunket. He was one of the people executed in the Rising, the insurrection against the British, and he was a poet, very good poet, and one poem went like this: I see his blood upon a rose, and Giles would say this in a very dramatic way. His hand would go like this, you know, I see his blood upon a rose. And Finnegan was beside me, Father Finnegan, of course he burst out laughing, and Aegidius stopped and glared at him, and he asked him, what are you laughing at? Oh, he said, I'm not laughing at you, Father. He said, I'm just laughing at the poem. Which goes to show your inexorable bad taste, he said. So he went on. There was another story about Aegidius, which I remember. I was a young student, I was my first year in theology, and something came up, and some philosophical issue, and he was quoting the philosopher Gret. He was a German Benedictine, but we had a later edition, and I knew, looking at the footnotes, I saw that in the later edition he had changed his view. So I then, having got Giles to commit himself to the view in the former edition, I then said, it is worthy of note that Father Gret has changed his view in the later edition. Well, Giles got furious. So I went out and told Father Smith, who was my professor of dogma, what had happened. Well, he said, you're in trouble. You better make up some story and go in and apologise, but make sure that you make Giles to be in the right. Otherwise, he said, you'll be failed in the examination at the end of the year. So I went in and told my story, good story, that I had misunderstood him. Of course, that only afterwards I realised that he was in the right and all that, and I apologised for the misunderstanding. Oh, that's all right, dear. He said, that's all right, dear. I'm very glad, he said, that you came to see it, he said. So he, let me see now. Just can you stop it for a moment?
Mm-hmm.